What's going on, everyone? I'm Brian Michael with Kenny's Cooks, and today I'm really excited because we're going to get into a recipe review for none other than the North American line cooking legend, Matty Matheson. So, I guess line cook turned chef turned entrepreneur, restaurateur turned like internet sensation turned like dude, shaved polar bear turned like that thing he does with the blonde hair and the mullet. It's killing it. Love that shit. He's a good dude. Like punk rock icon at this point. Just in the kitchen, he's taking the reins over for I guess everybody else who got a little bit too old for their own good. We're going to review one of the first recipes I've ever seen him make, and it's going to be his best or Agrodolce BLT sandwich. We're not going to do it on the French toast to save ourselves a little bit of calories. We're just going to get it out of the way now so nobody has to be like, oh, you forgot that. We know. I'm sure it's fantastic. It's just not happening today. But what we do have is we have some thick cut double smoked bacon. We have some fresh pressed garlic, which is going to go into the sauce. We didn't have shallots, but we had tons of green onions kicking around, so we're going to throw those in as the onion component. Then we're going to candy and enjoy some candied jalapenos on the sandwich. Then we're going to go with some shredded iceberg lettuce.
Why is it making that noise?
Squeaky clean.
Shut up.
As well as some big, beautiful heirloom tomatoes, ugly boy tomatoes. They're the best, you can't beat them. And then the only other prerequisites for this sauce are going to be some apple cider vinegar, some Cholula, and the star of the show, which is actually going to make everything come together and make our glaze, honestly, is going to be the maple syrup. So if you're going to spend money on any one component on this dish, let it actually be on the maple syrup, because it's going to be the star of the show. Whether you know it or not yet, that's the guy that makes everything happen. At this point, we're just going to kind of take you through the steps on how to do this on the stove now, so we have to move a couple of things over with us, and we'll get right into it from there. So as we clean this up and transition to do the filming over there, I just want to get it out there and let you know that the recipe for this is not our own. Everything that we're going to do today has already been pre-measured for we're going to do a several times batch. So it's going to look something like a 3 or 4 times batch of what you would find on the website. We're going to put a link to the Munchies recipe or the Vice recipe in the description so that you can find it there, where all the credit is given to the people who actually designed it. We're going to start the pan off with no heat, and the reason we're doing that is because we're going to try to render as much fat out of the bacon as we possibly can, and the easiest way for us to do that is to bring it up to temperature with the pan, which is going to give that bottom side kind of enough time to do what it is we're looking for in terms of rendering. But yeah, we're going to start it off in the cold pan like we had talked about now that we fixed the light issue. And we're just going to let it run for that 3 to 5 minutes and start allowing it to render and release the fat so that we can use some of it to build flavor in our sauce down the road. As this begins to cook, we're actually going to apply this to the bacon. This is a completely unnecessary step. This is just a food weight, and it's going to help to make sure we get even browning while it's cooking. Because the pan is not big enough to actually facilitate all the bacon we added to it. That is on us. We're fine with it. We're going to make it work. The reason we wrap it with aluminum foil is because we hate doing dishes and we hate cleaning, and then we can just peel this off later and then throw it in the garbage, and it's like it never happened. Alright, cool. So now we're going to give this bad boy a flip. And you're going to see that is some crazy looking bacon, right? Damn, that guy's nuts. There, I'm going to turn the heat down in the pan a little bit because I don't want the other side to scorch before it gets like the same love and attention the other side got. And then, like any other thing that you truly love in life, we're going to put some weight on it. Now, this is what you want to see. That is some crazy, crazy bacon. So we're going to get this out onto just some paper towels to drain the excess grease, just because we're not going to really need any more. As you can see, there's plenty all over the place. All right, now this is way too much oil to build our sauce in. At the end of the day, oh, I just punched the microphone. All right. Like I said, this is way, way, way too much grease to have in the pan for the sauce we're going to make. So we're just going to take all of it, and we're going to pour it into here. And don't put your hand at the bottom of that bowl, because it's going to be very hot when you do that, and you're going to have a bad time. All right, to help cool it down a little bit, we're going to go in with our green onions instead of shallots. Now we're just going to cook those for just a second now. There is not a ton of residual grease or oil in the pan right now, so I'm just going to add a little bit back in. Like not a ton. We'll call it a teaspoon. Just a teaspoon of oil. Nothing too crazy. Now these next couple of parts are going to move a little bit fast. We're going to go in with a butt ton of garlic. Personal preference. Don't trust people who don't like garlic. So there's no added sugar. We haven't salt or peppered anything yet because of all the bacon grease that we're working with in the pan. But because we don't want to lose the flavor of this stuff too much, we're going to give it a little bit of salt right now. And when I say a little, I mean I'm going to go in with like a 2-finger pinch. We're going to go in with our maple syrup. And then we're going to go in with the Cholula. Now there's no cool way to do this, as he says, and we're just going to shake it. This is going to be about a quarter of the bottle, and this is the big bottle, but again, we're doing a larger batch than you would see in his traditional recipe. And now we're going to bring the temperature of this back up a little bit. Stir it. I scrape, again, scraping down the sides so nothing burns to them while everything continues to cook. And because you're now technically working with the caramel, you see the bubbling? This is hotter than hell. This is hotter than all get out. Like, some pretty serious injuries happen in the kitchen when people start playing around with this stuff carelessly. Just be careful while you're doing this. Now that it's starting to take form into this caramel thing, we actually have to deglaze it with a little bit of the apple cider vinegar. And I'm just going to go in about, we'll call it a half cup here. Actually, while this particular step is happening, we're going to go in with the bacon. And we'll know the sauce is ready when the bacon is nice and evenly coated in that beautiful sweet and sour spicy glaze. So that's it. I'm just going to get them out onto a tray, just like you saw there. And we're just going to let them rest on the parchment paper so that we can peel them off again later with extreme ease. So this guy is now our caramel, our reduction, whatever you want to call it. He's here for candying. He is going to do an awesome job of it too. So this right here, again, I'm just going to scrape the sides down. And to candy anything, it's just about giving it a little bit of time to sit in whatever it is you're candying it in. So for us, like we talked about earlier, this is our only addition to the recipe, is we thinly slice jalapenos. And when you have all of this caramel saved over, the glaze, we're just going to drop it in. Drop it in. Now, I let it sit in there for a couple of minutes to kind of become a little softer, a little bit easier to bite through, but it's ready at this point. You drop it in, give it its 10-15 seconds, and it's ready to go. So for this guy right here, we're just gonna go through the traditional building process of a BLT, right? Here we have some of T's homemade chipotle mayo, not Matty Matheson's, and then we're gonna jump in with the back of a spoon, and we're just gonna spread it around that way. Alright, cool. Then we're just gonna jump on with some lettuces, the shredded lettuce from earlier, nice pile. Treat yourself. Then we're gonna jump on with some seasoned tomatoes. Now that we have those two layers down, we're just gonna come in with, the star of the show, right? The glazed bacon. And then the part of the recipe that is like 100% just our little tweak to it are gonna be these little candied jalapenos we showed you earlier. Give it one slice right down the middle. Check the cross section. That's a crazy fucking sandwich, man. But yeah, everything comes together pretty quickly, and the actual process and techniques involved are, I don't want to say advanced or in depth, but they're a cool launching point once you get the basics, I guess, of the glaze making, of the gastrique that you make after you add the vinegar to the pan and everything else. And what you're left with, the fruits of your labor in this case, is it's the best sandwich I've ever had in my life. Like I'll die on that hill gladly. Matty Matheson's he's an absolute genius when it comes to that. So we're gonna jump in with the taste test, get our thoughts on everything, see if there's anything we would actually change again. We wouldn't. We'll be honest. The pickled jalapenos we throw in because we like it to be a little bit spicier, but the chipotle mayo that Tom makes, it's just bringing like another depth of smokiness to kind of be paired with the bacon. But any excuse to eat one of these things, whether it's on camera or just in private, I'm taking it. So, salute. It's literally perfect. It's sweet, salty, spicy. It's one of the most savory things I've ever had. It gives me an excuse to eat heirloom tomatoes even in January, which I'm here for. There's not a lot of actual critiques I can do that would be warranted. You'd be nitpicking, and there's no need. You need to make this and get it in your face as soon as you possibly can. I'm just gonna go back for another one. So, but before I jump back into this, and we're just gonna thank you for jumping in. If there's anything you learned along the way, or something you found helpful or funny, you want to support us as a result of that, feel free to drop us a like, subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. And then, what's that other thing we say?
Comment, share.
Oh yeah, drop us a comment, share it if you really enjoyed us. Tell everybody you know about us. And then, as always, we'll see you in the next one. So, be good, everyone. And peace.